Shalom, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honor to the elder apostles, elder bishops, and brothers on the great millstone. Salutations to the elect. This is your brother Ayab Anyamyan here to share another lesson. Lord willing, it be edifying unto the elect. I was thinking about, with many years ago when the 7/7 attacks happened over there in the UK, how they quickly implemented the Surveillance Act, as if they had it, in planning, many years prior, and how the people, they protest and they fought and all of that, and the state, they pretty much just stepped over the people really quickly, like, you all can't do anything, and still implemented, the cameras all over the cities and stuff in the UK. And I was thinking that, they would do the same thing, with the motb, even though some people would, gladly accept it for convenience, of life, and health and so on and so forth. But a lot of people will also, be against it, and protest it. The elect is going to be against it, as well as a lot of those Edomites down there in the Bible Belt in the south of the U.S. You know what I'm saying? But Esau is going to push this thing forward regardless of what the people wanted. And I picked this article. I wanted to go further back, but just to show, how they quickly ran over the people to get these things out, on the pretext for surveilling people, for listening on their phone calls, for surveilling their emails and text message, social media, so on and so forth. The attack was a pretext for it. So to make it, even more popular, to make it where people had no choice but to say, we have no other choice but to accept it. So whatever Esau is going to do is going to be the pretext to force the motb on the people. So here's an old article published on November 19, 2016 by The Guardian. And the title heading is Extreme Surveillance Becomes UK Law with Barely a Whimper. Now we could go into that word called whimper. So they passed the law with barely a whimper, right? Let's try whim. What? Let's try whimper definition. One of the definition is a low, feeble song expressing of fear or pain. And then the other have whine, sniffle, snivel, or cry, right? So, without a whine, people and cry out heavily over it, so they passed the law without a whimper. So I'm going to read the article, share a few scriptures, and close it out. Law willing, it ain't going to be too long. And another premise, another reason why I did this lesson and stuff too, because a lot of, like the delivery trucks and stuff, a lot of companies in the past, have adopted putting two-way cameras in their trucks, one to face the road, for insurance purposes and stuff, uh, to record day-to-day activities, accidents, so on and so forth. And the other one is called driver-facing cameras, which a lot of drivers left the industry because of that, because it's too invasive. You know what I'm saying? And when I was speaking to some of my coworkers and stuff, they're talking about, well, Esau said he would be able to just see what you're doing, but he is not gonna have listening devices and stuff. And it just goes to show us, the folly of people, especially our people. I mean, scriptures talk about Esau performing a diligent search, and that we should never trust our enemy. You know what I mean? The point is, why would he put a surveillance mechanism where he can see you, but not put something in there where he can listen to you, as well? So I'm gonna start with that scripture in the book of Psalms, chapter 64, and verse 6. It says, "They search out iniquities; they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep." You know what I mean? So Esau, he want to know everything about you, what you're doing, what you're listening to, what you're seeing. And one of the mechanisms he do this is with the surveillance. All right, so I'm gonna try to go through the article real quick. I'm gonna try to make it too long. It says a bill giving the UK intelligence agencies and police the most sweeping surveillance powers in the West world has passed into law with barely a whimper. Right, so people ain't really cry out. I remember people protesting, but whatever pretext they use, they was able to pass it without much resistance. It says meeting only token resistance. See, there you go. Over the past 12 months from inside Parliament and barely any form from outside. The Investigatory Powers Act, passed on Thursday, legalizes a whole range of tools for snooping and hacking by the security services unmatched by any other country in Western Europe or even the US. The security agencies and police began the year brace for at least some opposition, rehearsing arguments for the debate. In the end, faced with public apathy and an opposition in disarray, the government did not have to make a single substantial concession to the privacy lobby. U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden tweeted, "The UK has just legalized the most extreme surveillance in the history of Western democracy. It goes further than many autocracies." Snowden in 2013 revealed the scale of mass surveillance or bulk data collection, as the security agencies prefer to describe it, by the US National Security Agency and the UK's GCHQ, which work in tandem. But against a backdrop of fears of Islamic attacks, the privacy lobby has failed to make much headway. Even in Germany, with East Germany's history of mass surveillance by the Stasi, and where Snowden's revelations produced the most outcry, the Bundestag recently passed legislation giving the intelligence agencies more surveillance powers. Now, in the beginning of this paragraph, it talk about the fears of Islamists. Like I was saying, that is one of the pretexts that they use. They use a group, for the as a reason for their surveillance program. So whatever calamity Esau is gonna bring on this place, people is gonna run and go and take the motb. One being unable to access their funds due to, whatever breakdown it is in the financial market, housing market, and different food shortages. You know, continuing on, it says the U.S. passed a modest bill last year curtailing bulk phone data collection, but the victory of Donald Trump in the U.S. presidential election is potentially a major reverse for privacy advocates. On the campaign trail, Trump made comments that implied he would use the powers of surveillance agencies against political opponents. The liberal Democrat Pierre Lord Strasburger is one of the leading voices against the investigatory powers bill. Said, "We do have to worry about a UK Donald Trump if we do end up with one, and that is not impossible. We have we have created the tools for repression. If Labour had backed us up, we could have made the bill better. We have ended up with a bad bill because they were all over the place." It says the real Donald Trump has access to all the data that the British spooks are gathering, and we should be worried about that. You know, let's see how long it is. These things. The scripture says, we are not to be ignorant, of Satan's, devices. As it says here, one of the pretexts that they use is Islamists, to bring forth the surveillance bill. So when, you start seeing more headlines of, like bank runs and stuff like that, you need to be aware that Esau is up to something and he may do something at any particular time. I'm going to grab that real quick in the book of Sirach. Chapter 5 and verse 15. It says, "Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small," right? So, we need to be observant. We need to be, circumspect, looking around, paying attention to the news, praying and asking the Most High for wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Right? We cannot take anything lightly, especially in these times, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way, we can move forward, so be not ignorant, of anything in a great or small matter. Need to walk circumspect, man. But going back to that, I'm gonna read a bit more and end it up because it's kind of lengthy. And all these things that you're seeing, is a precursor to the end of times. The Lord tells us, to measure the time, diligently. Continuing on, it says the Investigatory Powers Act legalizes powers that the security agencies and police have been using for years without making this clear to either the public or Parliament. In October, the Investigatory Powers Tribunal, the only court that hears complaints against MI6, MI5, and GCHQ, ruled that they have been unlawfully collecting massive volumes of confidential personal data without proper oversight for 17 years. Now, Esau would lie and tell you, we need to pass a law to snoop on the public, but he does it. Esau's a liar, and a cheat. He whoever it is he want legal people to do, he has been doing it a long time ago. In the book of Second Ezra's, chapter 9, And verse 1, it says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and as you all know, we are seeing these things right now. We are seeing various earthquakes, right, and different protests, especially last year during the pandemic, all around the world, China, included, right, and people are protesting the banking system. A lot of bank runs are happening in those South American countries. All these things are signs that the end of this society is happening. So I'm gonna read a little bit more of the article and close it out, because we are not to be ignorant of Satan's devices. It says one of the negative aspects of the legislation is that it fails to provide adequate protection for journalists' sources, which could discourage whistleblowers. One of the few positives in the legislation is that it sets out clearly, for the first time, the surveillance powers available to the intelligence services and the police. It legalizes hacking by the security agencies into computers and mobile phones and allow them to access the masses of stored personal data, even if the person under scrutiny is not suspected of any wrongdoing. That's the part I wanted to get there, and I'm end it from that point. But it's an old article written in 2016 by The Guardian. All right, I'm gonna try to leave a link in the description so you could follow it up. So these devices that we use, these different social medias, you all already see, they how they clip the brothers' videos, the elder apostles and their videos. Whenever they put up something, we gotta use like certain words just to get around, like the algorithms and stuff. So all these things that we are using are being monitored. You walk into a store, there's cameras monitoring you. On the highway, you're driving, there's cameras monitoring you. And like I mentioned earlier, even in vehicles now, there are cameras, both facing outward and inward for the new electronic self-driving vehicle. Right, so as they use different pretexts to bring these mass surveillance into being, even when they were already using it, right? They're gonna bring in the motb in like manner. Because remember it said here, they're gonna be able to view, mass amount of data, even with people that is not suspected of wrongdoing. So just as they use the Islamists and other FFs, F flags, to bring about their legislation and to push this system, the surveillance system on people. So they're going to use the motb to force people to accept it, whether it be financial or the food shortages that we're experiencing right now. So I'm going to end it off with this portion of script here in the book of 2 Corinthians. Chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So these derailments that is happening, all this chaos Esau, is bringing in, the bank runs that happen at Bank of America, right? The food shortages, all these things is coming in to one big event that Esau is planning, right? And a lot of people is going to be fooled undertaking the corrects. All right, but the elect will be exempt from such things. So keep your eyes open, pay attention, pray for spiritual discernment. This is your brother I, Banyamia, and Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Shalom.